everyone, welcome to another episode of the Torfac Show. Today we are joined by Puneet, who is the finance controller at Torfac, and in this episode we will talk about his life journeys, experiences, hobbies and many more things. Hi Puneet, welcome to the Torfac Show.
Hey Deeksha, thank you for organizing this.
Puneet, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a chartered accountant by profession, almost around 16 years of professional experience. I did my bachelor's in business administration. I worked in Deloitte, MetLife, which is a US-based insurance company, State Street. It's investment management and for hedge funds. And now in Torfac for around 2 years. I'm actually about to complete 2 years in the next few days. I love traveling, whether it's professional travel or travel with family. I love to play sports like tennis.
Okay, and can you shed some light on your school life and career life? Were you that bright student, teacher's favorite?
To be honest, no. I was not a very studious student in my school. A lot of focus was on sports at that time. Whether it's cricket, tennis. Cricket was a passion actually. Because I grew up in India. Cricket is a passion there. Everybody knows that. So almost focus was on playing cricket, watching cricket. And I was a commerce student, right?
Yes.
I would not say average, to be honest, but I was not very studious, right? And I did my bachelor's in business administration, and then I did my chartered accountancy after that.
So, you mentioned that you were a decent student, not very studious, and you chose to become a CA, which is very tough. So, what prompted you to, pursue CA?
Okay, that is an interesting question actually, because if after BBA your goal is MBA, right? You have to complete your masters. So somehow I shortlisted few colleges where I wanted to be, but somehow I was not able to get admission to those top tier colleges, and then I took a pause and decided to see what are the other options. Other obvious choice was a lawyer because I come from a family of lawyers. My father is a lawyer, my grandfather was a lawyer, and my family knew that, ultimately he can become a lawyer, but let him explore things, So then when I was deciding for a CA, there's a difference between MBA and CA, if you know that. In MBA you work very hard to get admission to an MBA institute, right?
Top university, yeah.
Top university. But after that, once you get into that college or university, you will eventually become an MBA. Yes. Your grades will depend upon your efforts, right? But you will become an MBA. In CA, it's a little different. In CA, entry is very easy. You have very basic credentials. You can start CA. But in CA, you need to make sure that you pass that exam. And I had seen even students not passing exam even by 1 mark, and then they would redo the whole process. I think that was a challenge where I wanted to make sure that I'm mentally prepared, psychologically very clear that, and it needs a lot of patience, because, if you study very hard and then you have to give that exam again, it's very hard, So I want to make sure that if I'm doing this, that is the only option for me. There is no option B. I think that's how it worked, I gave my 100% in those 3 years, and somehow, luckily, I passed all the exams in first attempt.
Wow.
So yeah, it was definitely a turning point for me, but that's how it worked.
And how was your journey from Deloitte to MetLife to Torfac? How it has been?
So after I completed my CA, I joined Deloitte, which is one of the big 4 consulting and audit firm. I think that was a great exposure, because initially when you work in these kind of consulting firms, you are able to do a lot of variety of work.
Yes.
I was in audit initially, so different clients, different industries you work, manufacturing, service, banking, insurance. You get a chance to meet with different CFOs,
Yes.
So it was a great exposure, I would say, and travel also, because I was always looking for travel opportunities, so wherever there used to be opportunity, I was keen to go for that. So in audit also, in Deloitte also, beyond audits, I did a lot of consulting and due diligence projects where I traveled a lot. So overall great exposure. I spent 5 years in Deloitte, and then MetLife It's a US-based insurance company. I was in financial reporting and compliance for almost 5 years.
Yes.
As I said, I love travel, so I was looking for those opportunities. I used to travel US frequently for work, and I also got an opportunity to travel to European countries, even Japan also.
Oh, nice.
So good experience. I remember in Japan, we used to have translators in the meeting because there's a language
Yes,
issue, right?
obviously.
And it was exciting. I even learned Japanese a little bit, just to how to greet people, how
Can
to
you
say goodbye.
say something in Japanese?
Arigato, arigato, all those
What
terms.
does that mean?
Like thank you,
Oh, okay.
like good morning. Moshi moshi is like, hello, something like that.
In Japanese, okay.
In Japanese, yeah. So I actually don't remember now, but it's been a long time. But I actually, because if you start with that kind of conversation with the clients and they know that you don't know Japanese, so those actually, then it's a kind of icebreaker with them, right?
Okay.
So it was exciting time, MetLife, after MetLife, I actually moved to Canada, right? It's been almost 7-8 years. I moved to Canada, and then I worked in State Street. State Street is actually one of the top five investment, custodian firms for hedge funds. So I was in financial reporting, almost like 4 years I spent there.
Okay.
And then, Torfac,
Torfac.
it's been almost 2 years. It's a great time, I'm about to complete 2 years, as I said. So overall, 16 years of professional experience and, yeah.
Puneet, you mentioned that traveling has played a major role in your professional and personal life, right? So I want to know that, how traveling has, changed your life. And you also mentioned that it is one of your hobbies. You travel with your family, you travel professionally. So can you elaborate more on this?
Sure. So as I mentioned, in my professional career, travel started with Deloitte and then MetLife. Eventually, it became a hobby, because it started with professional travels. But when I say hobby, because even personal travel also with family, it gives you a nice break. You come back charged up for the other things. So, and why I always talk about travel is that everybody is like in my family, like kids are busy in school. Me and my wife are busy in work. Monday to Friday just goes away, And I have 2 daughters. Elder one is 15, younger one is 9. Okay. So they are busy, totally busy in their school, other activities, sports.
Yes.
And Monday to Friday busy. Then Sunday evening again, you are getting ready for next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these short vacations, travels, it's a good time to spend with family. And I like it because I like to try different things. Even different food, different cultures. If you go to different places, you see different new things, right? Which is something, I think that actually gives a lot of good experience for you. You have a lot of things to talk about, when you travel.
Yes.
So that's
adds on to your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bad part is that, like last few years, whatever happened.
Yes,
COVID,
exactly.
We were not able to travel. So this is something we're trying that will make it up in the coming years. So obviously, socially and travel life was totally gone, right, in the last few years. Which hopefully we'll cover for in the next few years.
Yes, because that's what I was coming to. Since traveling is such an important part, and you and your family are so like totally dedicated towards to having trips and everything and professional travels. So how did COVID impacted that specific part of your life? Traveling especially, and in general also how. How has COVID impacted your life in general also?
Yeah, I think that is a topic which is ongoing, right? These days.
Yes.
I think my personal learnings and takeaways from COVID is that there are a couple of things which I feel is very important. One is importance of mental health. I think we always speak about physical health, but I think mental health plays a big role.
Yes.
Nobody had expected that COVID will come and we'll not be able to meet our friends and family for
a long time.
Right?
Yes.
And I remember I even attending a wedding virtually in So we had to travel US very close.
We did that.
Because of, you did that, right?
Yes.
I remember we had even, some get-togethers, drinks virtually, right?
Yeah.
So it looks funny, but we did that, right? So I think mental health, psychologically, you need to be very strong in this kind of, scenario. I always think that I always see the positive side of everywhere, right? So when it happened, we thought it's a good time to have a family time because everybody is working
Yes.
from home, kids are doing online. So I think, as I say, I always see positive side. I think it was a good time to spend more time with family.
With family,
you
yes.
you fight eventually when you spend more time, but ultimately it happened. So one is importance of mental health. I think other key takeaway for me is that live your present life. We always, I think that's a good thing. You always look for our future goals, keep running for that. But I have, I think it's always, I believe that you should always cherish your present as well.
Yes.
Right? So in my thinking, you should have future goals, but you should have some milestone also where you can take a pause and celebrate your success, whatever you have achieved, because ultimately there is no limit, right? So
Absolutely.
so two things I always say, that mental health and today is the day. So live your life and keep a balance about your future goals and present.
All right, but yes, it did affect that traveling thing.
Yeah. So somehow
You missed it.
I definitely missed it. Yeah. So we have a list of things to do.
Okay.
We're hoping that we'll cover it up in next couple of years, 3 years.
Okay, right. So, Puneet, tell me about, one turning point in your life. Everyone has that turning point in their life. So what was yours?
I think my turning point was when the day I completed my CA, and then immediately I joined Deloitte. I think then professionally also, personally also, and Deloitte was very busy, very busy, now those 5 years. I remember because audit, you have timelines, deadlines, quarterly, annually. So my birthday, actually, I remember my birthday comes very close to a timeline for a tax audit or whatever. And I never reached home on time. So, but to answer your question, turning point is definitely the day I completed my CA, and then here we are.
Okay. Puneet, now you have spent almost a decade, I think, 8-9 years in Canada.
8 years, yeah.
8 years in Canada. So how is life in India versus life in Canada? And what were your experiences, when you first moved to Canada, new challenges, new things you saw there, and how were they different from India?
Sure. I think the main difference is weather, right? Everybody knows that. It's very cold in Canada, especially from 4 months is very cold, right?
Yes.
It's like, I would say, brutal. I would use this term. But eventually you adapt to that, right? So initially when we came, I think we were prepared with this. I would say probably we were over-prepared for this mentally. We knew that this is a big change for us, weather is going to be a big change. But I think kids adapted very well. It doesn't matter whether it's like minus 15 or 20, life goes on. Kids go to school.
Yes.
Everybody goes out, even we walk in minus 15, minus 20.
Yeah, you eventually adapt to the environment.
Yeah, you adapt to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Initially there is a challenge. The first couple of years, it's a change, right? It's a big change, especially. And the other thing is, back home you have family and friends. When you come here, it takes some time to make friends, So my brother is in Australia.
Okay.
Actually, with family. My parents are in India. So I think that's a big difference. You're very far from your family and friends.
Yes.
Eventually you make friends in Canada also, right? But I think initial few years can be challenging, and we did through that phase. But yeah, I think then we adapt to Canada.
But again, how would you like to describe the lifestyle in India and the lifestyle in Canada?
I like both, because I was born and brought up in India. I grew up professionally. I worked in India and now in Canada. So I would say, I like both. Only from a personal side, I think family and friends we miss. But weather also, few months is a challenge. But again, the positive side is summer is very good in Canada. Like few months, summer is good. So nobody wants to sit at home when it's a summertime.
Because here in India, when it's summer, it's extremely hot. It gets the extreme cold there. Here we have this extreme hot.
Yeah.
It's extreme
so
summer.
Summer is very pleasant. So I think summer makes up for that winter phase.
Okay.
So you feel depressed also when you're not able to go out sometimes.
Right.
But that summer 5 months, you are always excited. When summer starts, everybody makes their plans. Everybody has already planned for it.
You mentioned earlier that you will be completing 2 years, in Torfac. And coming to Torfac means that, you switched your industry, from some other industry to the market research industry. So how do you find this industry, do you like it, and how is it different from other industries, and how your experience has been here in Torfac?
Yeah, so it has been a great experience so far. I think we have a great team. We have seen so many changes in the last couple of years. One is like rebranding,
Right.
and from Viceworks to Torfac. But I think that has been worked well for us. You guys did a great job, and you have been doing a great job. A lot of visibility we have created, in market research industry. And to answer your question, yeah, it's a very dynamic industry. I think we have created that brand name in market research industry, and it's very exciting also. It's different for me because I come from a audit and then financial services sector. But again, I think it helps you when you come from a consulting background. You adapt to new things quickly. So far it's a great experience so far.
Right.
I believe that we have right team at right place. Everybody has their role to play in our future. I am very optimistic to our growth and the way we have been doing. Things can be challenging. We have seen companies like Meta, Twitter, Google. All these companies are doing those cost-cutting layoffs. So it may eventually impact us also. But I think as a finance controller, my role is to ensure that we are financially lean. We are spending wisely. We're not overspending. And so if you see, the goal of a company is to keep your employees happy, right?
Yes.
And these days the goal is to keep your employees, because if you're able to keep your employees, eventually they will be happy.
True.
So I think everyone, all our teams are doing a great job, whether it's sales, operations, marketing, finance, HR, admin. Everybody has their role to play.
Right.
We need everybody's best efforts so that we can achieve our mission and vision.
Great. So, with this, we move on to the fun part of this podcast, which is the rapid fire round. So we do have some questions for you. What's one phrase or word you use frequently? Quick.
We can do better.
Okay. What's one thing you're excited about? What's coming up in 2023?
Buying a new car.
Okay. What's your most used emoji?
Thumbs up.
Okay. What's your hidden talent?
Oh, this can be funny, singing after a couple of drinks.
Okay. If you could spend a day in someone else's shoes, whose would they be and why?
I think it's Virat Kohli, who is a famous cricketer in India.
Okay. What's the first career you dreamt of having as a kid?
Cricketer.
Okay. What's the last text you sent?
So I just sent a message to the finance guy, my colleague. What's the update on banking?
Okay. What's one thing about you that surprises people?
I think by appearance, I looks very strict or introvert, which I'm not.
Okay. At what job would you be terrible?
Household chores.
Okay. Are you religious or spiritual?
Spiritual.
Okay, so that was a great rapid fire round. Puneet, before we wrap this episode, do you have any closing notes?
Thank you for inviting me. It was a great fun. And
Same here.
You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you so much. It's all a team effort. Thanks, Siddharth and Kumar. So that was your rapid fire round, and well done. Thank you so much for joining us, Puneet.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching this podcast. Please like, share and subscribe to all our social media channels, and we will see you next time. It's a wrap.